right, a Fox Business Alert for United Healthcare announcing a new program to change the way that it handles cancer treatment costs. In the process, sending a red flag to those who fear rationing. That's because United's new plan pays doctors a lump sum for the entire course of the treatment, a flat rate. Spend it as you see fit. It's an experiment right now, and we should disclose here. United Healthcare, for example, is my healthcare provider. It is the healthcare provider for a lot of folks here at Fox. So we're going to be very, very careful how far we go, or we're all going to get our healthcare coverage knocked away. I'm kidding, but that's the sticky wicket for us. Anyway, reaction from the Fox Biz stars: Jonathan Hoenig, Lizzie McDonald, Mike Norman. So, Mike, is this rationing? Or the preview?
Look, it is rationing. It's exactly what I said was going to happen since this whole thing got passed.
What did you say?
That we were going to see rationing. Because what happens...
So this is rationing.
This is rationing. But let's understand something. We had rationing before under the private healthcare system.
Is this more of that? Is this more of that?
We don't know. It could end up to be. You give a limited amount of money, the $1 trillion that the government's spending, it's going basically to the health insurance companies who are mandated to keep prices at a certain level. So
it's unavoidable rationing. I'm telling you, it's unavoidable rationing on steroids is what I'm saying.
Because it's a bad plan.
It is, but the issue is drug costs are really out of control for cancer treatments, and the drug companies didn't really have to knuckle under. They came up with some ephemeral cost savings of $55, $80 billion.
See, when we're in the campaign trail, you can't use ephemeral content.
All right, and you
say really big.
Thank you for correcting me on the pronouncement.
People, but, you know.
Thank you for correcting me on the pronouncement. Look, the drug industry. Oh, all right. So these cost savings, are they really going to come forward to pay for health reform from the drug industry? I mean, they're coming from some galaxy far, far, far away. Let's face it, they're not coming. So this is the issue that the insurance companies have had to deal with: out-of-control drug costs for cancer patients. And so, yes, is it price control? Yes, but the drug companies also didn't have to deal with reimportation of drugs from Canada. They didn't have to deal with negotiating.
You're right. No, you're right about only.
So that's the issue.
But Jonathan, what worries me is this sets up. You know, in a life, we can only limit this number of treatments for you. That's what I think this sets up, and that's what I think this previews.
Well, Neil, I have to tell you, I disagree. I don't think that this is rationing. I think that it's not rationing when a private company decides that it's going to create a new sort of payment program, a new sort of payment plan.
No, I agree, but I'm saying with this new law, we're going to see this again, pardon that term, on steroids. You're going to see a lot more of this because a lot more people come on and they have to develop a system for this.
Sure, to the extent that the new law, Neil, to Mike's point, furthers government involvement in healthcare, you will see rationing. For example,
only because
just in the
of the
last
way
couple
that
of weeks,
it was set up. Only because of the way that the law was constructed.
And you know, there's plenty of. Yeah, there's plenty of examples of this. I mean, for example, in Greece, Neil, the Daily Caller just the last couple of weeks had a story about how, for example, the Greek government is preferencing amputation over or shoes for those people with diabetics suffering from diabetes as a preference, as a cost-saving measure. So as government involvement moves up, yes, you'll see rationing and you'll see lower quality care
That's
for
why
everybody.
they're protesting in Greece, because they're getting amputated.
The way to solve this would have been to do the supply side way, to invest in health reform where more supply of healthcare services are available, and that's not by limiting the cost.
You're like a riddle wrapped in a conundrum. You're saying more spending is good, and now you're a supply sider too.
Well, because if the spending led to an increased supply, think about it, increased supply of healthcare services, doctors, health technicians.
There's already an MRI of your head. Right now, you need an MRI of your head.
And you would, yes, that would be a good thing because we would see all these wonderful ideas.
We need some rationing of Mike Norman's ideas. That's what I want.
I just see a company doing this, and I think Jonathan's right. I think Mike's right to this extent. This is just a good business decision.
I think yes, I think it is.
But what I worry about is we're going to get a lot of these business decisions now.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to see more of these business decisions because, look, when you put more 32 million or whatever it is people on the rolls, it's going to cost more money, and even though they say it will cost more revenues, but some of these people have been very, very sick for a very long time, and they haven't had any insurance. And so they need to be taken care of. So somehow these costs are going to have to come out of somebody.
And you know, Neil, the real waste always comes not from for-profit private systems, but for these entitlement programs. You know, even the government's own figure says we spend $500 million in excess now than we need to. That figure is only going to go up.
All right, I just got this fax in. Your coverage has been canceled. Anyway, well, we got them out of a bankrupted mess. Now we are cleaning up GM's hazardous mess. And now, according to the administration, creating jobs in the process? What? Well, you logged on to foxbusiness.com/Cavuto to tell us if you think spending cuts alone could dig us out of our fiscal hole. And now the results are in. When asked if we could fix the deficit without raising taxes on anyone, 77% of you said, yeah, we can do that. 7% said, no, we can't do that. 16% said, yes, only if we raise Neil Cavuto's taxes. Apparently, some of you think you're comedians. I think not. Meanwhile, we got this Fox Business alert for you. The government bought bankrupt GM for cool, what was that, $50 billion? And now it's setting up a $773 million trust fund to clean up contaminated sites that GM left behind. But here's the kick in the carburetor. Labor Secretary Hilda Solis is hailing this move as a jobs boom. Well, see, that's like the fireman who, you know, starts the fire and gets commended for putting it out.
That was pretty witty.
That was condescending.
No, I liked it. I was about to come up with some other. Well, as your running mate.
This ticket is in that.
This ticket is not in trouble.
It's the old Eagleton moment. Go ahead.
Look at, talk about.
3 people in the country just got that. But
talk about putting a top stim on it, right? Oh, all right, that doesn't really fly as a running mate. I've completely.
I think since you've risen to this level, you're getting nervous. But go ahead.
Yes, I'm sweating right now. But anyway, so you know, no, look. What the only upside, silver lining here, is that they're not pulling that money out of some other spending program. I think they're pulling it out of the bailout for GM. And the silver lining is that these Superfund sites could really make people sick and dump people onto those stupid health insurance exchanges that the government now wants to set up. So maybe there's a positive here that you really need to clean up those sites before they really start making people very, very sick.
Mikey?
Well, look, it's income being paid to somebody, right? So it qualifies as a job. The question is does it create any new jobs? I don't know that. I
Don't you find it odd that we're raising money for a mistake made by a bailed-out company?
Where are we raising money?
Right.
The government is sending a check to some firm who's going to pay their employees. That's income being paid to somebody that qualifies as a job.
Mike, the difference is, though, well, here we go, Mike. The difference is that in a real company, right, in a company that's not dominated,
What's a real
in fact,
company?
owned by,
What's a real
one
company?
that's not that's not owned by the government.
Okay,
Let's
well,
start
listen,
there.
the government.
Jobs are, well, let me make the point that jobs are actually productive, right? I mean, the output exceeds the input.
But this is our money.
The returns exceed the investment.
What do you do? Why is it any more productive than
he makes his own nickel.
cleaning up a toxic waste?
But no, he makes his own nickel. It's not the taxpayers paying for those jobs.
The government is 25% of the economy. That means 25% of the income earned by people all over this country.
That's paid for by taxpayers.
No, it's not.
It's paid for by taxpayers or by
would never have a deficit.
Do you see the money tree growing to the sky and
all I'm saying is it's just weird, right? We bail them out, and then we have to set up a contingency thing for something they screwed up.
Yes, it's
and
very
Neil,
strange.
We're still waiting for the $50 billion. You know, Mike and all these politicians are celebrating the jobs. Well, what about
now, don't lump him in with all these politicians. That was mean.
We're waiting for what $50 billion?
The $50 billion owed to us by General Motors, Mike. I mean, it's not kind of
pardon me, but I don't remember receiving a tax bill that I had to write a check to do that bailout. But we did sustain 2 companies, one of which is about to go public again, which kept workers working,
first of all,
which kept
GM
real
did go
assets,
bankrupt.
vehicles
GM went bankrupt anyway.
Come on, it's ridiculous.
The only one that got bailed out was the unions.
Look at we're never going to. We will never see that money back because the market cap has to hit $70 billion. It will never happen.
The real wealth is not the dollars that were put in to support the companies, but the real assets, the vehicles that are created.
Let's say you're right on all of the above. All I'm saying, Mike, is that whether it's justified or not, here's what happens when you bail out an institution, whether it was necessary or not, whether you feel it didn't hurt us or not. we are also bailing out all its mistakes and screw-ups. It's like the wayward kid who just keeps screwing up, and you keep picking up after.
You're saying this, okay, because the government had to bail them out, then it ended
we're
up
responsible for all their mess.
ended up having to leave. It couldn't clean up the mess, so now we got to go in and clean up the mess.
Right.
But, you know, it's $700 million.
Oh, I know that's a rounding error for you, but it's the first of many.
But you don't seem to understand one fundamental thing, nor Jonathan, that when the government pays out, it's income to people. Are you saying that it's better to reduce the
That justify the intent and where that money goes. I'm telling you
it doesn't
how
matter where
wacky
it goes. You want to know something? It doesn't matter where it goes because it all gets recycled back into the economy.
I renew my MRI proposal for your brain.
And I'm willing to have it done to show you.
All right. A final word on this, Johnny.
Well, and Neil, I mean, tell that notion of spending creates jobs to the hoodlums rioting in France, rioting in Greece because they spent and spent and spent so much that they literally spent the economy into oblivion. We're headed down that same exact route.
They're rioting because they're getting laid off. That's why they're rioting.
Because they didn't want to retire at 62.
That must have been it. They didn't spend enough.
At least we had more time, guys.
Because that was promised to them. It's retracting a promise.
We'll explore this more tomorrow. We got Orrin Hatch tomorrow.